Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And today we've got really very little news. That nothing super interesting of note happened this week.
Yeah, there were some good games, but I got to start the episode by saying I had exams all week, so I really didn't watch any NBA games. I didn't get around to watching any games.
Yeah, I watched college basketball when it was on, and then no NBA games really piqued my interest because the Pacers suck. I mean, they're not good. So I didn't watch any Pacers games. Well, I watched the Russell Westbrook game where he had like that 30-20. That was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But after they lost that game, that kind of turned me off of the Pacers for the rest of the week. Because that they should not be losing that game. They're so horrible in the fourth quarter, dude. It's ridiculous. It's like, you know how under McMillan they would score like 12 points in the third quarter, but they would rebound in the fourth quarter. They've now moved it back, so now they just can't get any offense in the fourth quarter. It's not even like they're losing in fun ways. It's like the offense just completely stalls, and like they're not even. It's horrible.
That'll happen with a rookie head coach, though. They gotta adjust.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be.
At least Pacers fans don't have to adjust their idiotic comments every time they lose, because now they can just keep saying fire Nate.
That's right. I mean, there were some people that said fire Nate McMillan. They got to change that last word to Bjorkgren, but
yeah, that's true.
It is crazy to me. Like, I mean, this is not crazy because I know Pacers fans, but it's weird that after 50 games of your first season as a head coach with an unhealthy team and no real training camp or preseason because of COVID, you maybe don't have the best record, and everyone's like, yeah, fire him.
I think it's just how NBA fans are now. I don't think that, like, people just aren't. I get it because people aren't willing to put up with bad teams, but like at a certain level, you got to be like, okay, well, it's his first year. Like, not everything's going to be perfect or even good. Right. Like, I mean. And honestly, with this draft class, I would be okay if the Pacers get the 9 seed, I'm going to be pissed. But if they fall to 12, I'll be okay with it. Like, I wouldn't have any problem with having a decent pick in this draft.
Make like the 8th. Like, I'd rather them not make the playoffs than be the 8th seed.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like getting swept by the Nets in the first round is not something I want.
Yeah.
To have
rather
to watch.
Just get the good pick, you know.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off with the power rankings. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can take this one. I think I went first last time.
All right, so number 5, I've got the Clippers. The Clippers are good. The Clippers have taken advantage of the Lakers not having any healthy players, and they have leapfrogged them. They're now up to the 3 seed, but they're a solid 3 games back from the top of the West, which is the Suns and the Jazz, which is a weird sentence for me to say. Yeah, so the Clippers are up there. They're 7-3 over their last 10, which is nice. And they're a game ahead of the Bucks. They beat the Bucks this week. They beat the shit out of the Bucks this week. They did lose to the Magic and the Nuggets.
They blew like a 16-point lead to the Magic.
Yeah. Chuma Okeke had a good game, though, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have an awesome week, but they're still 7-3 over the last 10 and 3rd in the West. So I had to give them a nod.
That's fair. My number 5 is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Ooh.
They are 1-2 in there this past week, so not great. I think they were the only team out of any top 4 seed in either conference to have a losing record this week, because the Clippers were 500. And the other team that I have on my list went undefeated. So they had a losing record. Obviously, they still don't have Joel Embiid, so that's going to hurt. And they played they didn't play bad teams. They played the Clippers and they played the Nuggets. So 2 pretty good teams, right? It's not like they were playing just bad teams. So their losses that I feel like you're okay with if you're that team, but you know they still had a pretty rough week, all things considered. Still the 2 seed in the East, definitely. So I had to keep them in my list, but.
All right, that's fair enough. Up next, I have got the Sixers at 4. Basically, for all the reasons you said, they fell out of my top 3. They did get leapfrogged by the Nets this week, which is also not great for their standings in my eyes. But they've got injuries. It's not that big of a deal. I think Embiid's going to be back tonight, isn't he?
I do not know.
Or not tonight, tomorrow against the Lakers.
I'm actually not sure.
Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the completely wrong team. Hold on, I'm still on the Clippers. What the hell? I think he is gonna maybe play tonight against the Timberwolves. I think he was upgraded to questionable yesterday. He is. I can't get.
I'll check
good,
the fantasy
I can't
app.
get
They
any
might
good
have
news
some.
on the front page of Google.
I'll check the fantasy app. They might have him listed. Yeah, he's also just questionable tonight.
Oh, okay. So he might play.
Yeah.
Probably a game time thing. They don't exactly need him.
No, they've been fine without him.
As soon as possible, they could. He could rest as long as
Yeah.
for a couple more games if he needed to. If he needed to get fully healthy.
They've been fine without him so far.
Yeah.
All
right, who you got at
my
4?
number 4 is the Clippers. Actually, they went 2-2, so they had a little bit of a better week than the Sixers. They beat the Sixers and they also beat the Bucks, which is kind of why I had them high. One reason why I had them higher than the Sixers, because I consider that a pretty good win. But then that also kind of gets balanced out by the Magic loss, which wasn't good. But they're 2-2. Everyone's been playing well. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't watch any games. I'm not sure if Rondae is playing for them yet. But
I don't think he's played. Maybe he's played once.
okay, either way, he'll
Actually,
be
now
a
that you
good
say
piece
that.
for them. But yeah, they had a solid week. Not great, not bad. So again, the next 3 teams that I'm pretty sure we both have went undefeated this week. So
Yes. My number 3 is Phoenix. Phoenix is a half game better than the Nets, so right away a little controversial. They're both 8-2 in their last 10. It's really just what team I think has a little bit of a higher ceiling, and the Nets are doing all of this without Durant, which he definitely makes them a better team, regardless of how well James Harden and Kyrie Irving are playing. Regardless of touches and everything, he definitely makes them better. We've seen the proof when he plays. So I've got the Suns at 3, but it's really, really tight. I mean, they've got basically the same record, essentially the same record in the last 10. They both went 4-0 this week, so it's really a toss-up.
You say that, and right before, 5 minutes before we recorded, I switched my 2 and 3 spots, so I have the Nets at 3, or I have
really?
the Suns at 3. I had it switched initially, but I got the Suns at 3. They went 4-0 this week. They beat the Hornets, Hawks, Bulls, and Thunder, and that was part of the reason I had them switched, is just because those wins are solid, but they're not amazing. And then if you look at the Nets schedule, they had some pretty good wins this past week. And again, like you said, they don't have Kevin Durant back yet. So, just overall, they had similar weeks. Just, I think the Suns' competition was just a little worse.
Yes, agreed. At 2, I've got the Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's all I got to say. I got the Nets.
Oh my god.
Do you also have the Nets?
Yeah. Sorry, I was choking on my sandwich.
All right.
Yeah, I got them at 2, and then the Jazz at 1.
Yep, I got the Jazz at 1. Really, they're still a couple games ahead of everybody else. In both conferences, they're 9-1 over their last 10. They had a little stumble a couple weeks ago, but overall they've been pretty damn good this year. So I still got them at 1.
Yeah. And speaking of the Jazz, they were in a very sketchy plane incident earlier this week.
Yeah, they flew into a flock of birds.
Yeah, their plane got damaged to was it an engine or something? Or a turbine?
Yeah, yeah.
Something on the plane
it was something.
got hit by a flock of birds and they went down. But luckily, no one got hurt. Everyone was okay. They safely landed. but that's gotta be
Yes.
scary, man. That like,
Dude, I have never flown on a plane before in my entire
Really?
life, and yep.
that's crazy.
I mean, not really. I don't really leave my house. Like, all my family's in Indiana, so it's kind of like we've never had a
You
reason
never like
to
gone on a vacation
anywhere.
anywhere?
I mean, we've gone down to Florida, but we just drive.
Yeah, I've been on a plane like
So,
a handful of times. So I guess I can't really talk. I've been on a plane to Hawaii, and I've been on a plane to India. And then I think I've been on a plane to Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, it's also not really my choice. If I had the choice, I would definitely have flown at one point because I feel like I'm going to eventually need to and don't want to have that be... Don't want to fly on a plane for the first time when I'm like 20 or 25.
No, that's fair.
I feel like that would be horrible.
But no, that's... Luckily, everyone's okay. I remember, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley were, like, talking about it. And, like, dude, I could not imagine going through that.
Yeah.
And that's why, like... was it you that said they should have like multiple planes? I can't remember if that was you or someone else.
Yeah, I was saying that if I feel like it was more just like not even saying they should. I just felt like it was something they would have, like a plan for something. Because like, can you imagine if like, this is horrible, but like, can you imagine if like there was a plane crash and an entire NBA team got taken out? I feel like franchises would plan for that to happen because statistically it could happen eventually. It's already like, there are stories of like some soccer teams and like hockey teams having that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there would be some sort of like, you never have your entire starting five on the same plane. Like, I don't know. It just seems like something that was common sense, that when something like this happens, it makes you kind of think about that, honestly.
Yeah. Obviously that's not very cost effective or environmentally friendly or convenient for that matter, but it would be a safeguard, I guess.
Yeah. Because like, technically there are emergency plans in place if like an entire team like got hurt, or if an entire team died or something like that. Like, there's a supplemental draft. There's you pull up all your G League guys and, stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like there would be I feel like it would have to be franchise to franchise. Like, okay, well, we take 3 planes or 1 plane or 2 planes. But I don't know. It just seems like common sense to have like 3 team planes and you put 5 guys on each plane so that you never have, a horrible situation happen. But I also get why they do 1 plane because like traveling as a team is kind of a bonding thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. Overall, glad everyone's okay. Next up, this was a game yesterday. The Raptors versus Warriors Blowout.
Oh my god!
It was like, I remember, what was it, in like the third quarter? The score was like 50 to 105 or something like that. It was a blowout.
Ridiculous. That's a game where it ends, and like, if it wasn't Steve Kerr, you're like, somebody's getting fired after tonight. Like,
yeah.
It's just one of those games where you're like, it makes you reevaluate a franchise. I don't care how many like players. I don't care if their entire starting 5 was out. If you lose by 60 points, you're like, the owner's like calling people. He's like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, the entire front office is like,
they're scrambling.
Nobody's sleeping well that night. They're like, "Oh my god, we're all getting fired."
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, and the Raptors suck. They're worse. They're way worse than the Warriors. Like, they're terrible.
They just popped off last night, man.
Yeah.
But that was... I don't remember the final score, but I remember, like, isn't the biggest blowout... Was that Hornets Sixers or something? I remember there's a Hornets
God.
game where they
I mean,
lost
I don't...
by, like, 60. Maybe it was Grizzlies that lost by... I don't remember. But...
I mean, there have been a couple games like that in the last couple of years where a team just loses, like, 130 to 85 or something.
Yeah.
But never quite like by 50. What was it, like 53 points or something, or 57 points?
While
it was
we're
a
on the
ridiculous
topic, I'm gonna
amount of
look it
points.
up real quick. You ran for a second.
Okay, I mean that's. I feel like it was. I saw a bunch of teams, or a bunch of people in the comments of all those posts saying like, "Oh, they choked the 60-point lead, like they could have won by 60." I think it is like a top 3 largest margin of victory in NBA history. I feel like there was a game in that Sixers year where they went like 12 and 70. I think it was, or 11 and 71. I think it was Michael Carter Williams, the year like 2013, the year Michael Carter Williams won Rookie of the Year, that they like, I think they lost a game by like 45 or 50 points that year. I mean, they got blown out a ton, but like there was one game that was like different than all of those. Like they just got absolutely wiped.
I found this on the internet. I don't know how reliable it is, but it gave two examples. There was one, the one that I was thinking of a few years, like 3 or 4 years ago, where the Hornets beat the Grizzlies by 61 points. And then there was one in December 17th, 1991, where Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Miami Heat by 68 points. So.
Okay, so, yeah.
Pretty big.
Yeah, so there have been a couple bigger margins of victory.
I want to look up the score for that game.
It has to be, like, I can't imagine that the team that lost scored more than, like, 70 points. 65, maybe.
It was 148 to 80.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So pretty high scoring for, I want to see who did it. Okay, so for the Heat, the team that put up 80 points, their leading scorer was Glenn Rice with 15, and then they had Kevin Edwards with 10, and nobody else hit double digits. Or no, sorry, Steve Smith with 15. Glenn Rice had 9. And then on the Cavs side, Brad Doherty, or however you say it, had 17. Mark Price had 18. Winston Bennett had 11. Hot Rod Williams had 16. John Battle had 8. Their entire bench was pretty much in double digits, and then 3 of their starters as well. So, yeah, a pretty brutal smackdown there. 148 to 80.
Yeah. Wow.
And that Heat team finished with a record of 38 and 44, so they weren't even, like, horrible.
I mean, that's probably about what the Warriors will finish with. They'll probably be a couple games above 500. I bet they made the playoffs that year, right? Because it was the East.
Let's see.
It was the East before, like, a ton of it. Like, I think that the Charlotte... Maybe what? Was it fully expanded Eastern Conference in 1991?
Were the Pelicans are in the West. Was the Raptors in by this point?
No. Okay, so the Raptors wouldn't have been in. The Grizzlies wouldn't have been in. Was Charlotte a team in 1991?
I think so. Yeah, they were.
I think they were.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Was it? Okay, Okay, I want to say that Charlotte, Minnesota, Miami, and Orlando all were within like 2 years of each other. And I think they were all within like 1987 to 1989 range. Like I think the Heat were 87, and I think Orlando was 89, and I think Minnesota was 89. And I think Charlotte must have been 87 then.
Maybe. I don't remember the year for Charlotte.
Okay, I'm looking up the NBA expansion history.
Okay. Oh, by the way, that season where the Heat lost by 68, they got swept in the first round by the Bulls.
Oh, okay. So they would have been like the 8th seed?
Yeah, probably. Okay, so Larry Johnson got drafted to Charlotte in 91-92, right?
Yes, he was the first. Was he first overall? Yeah, he had to have been first overall.
I think so. So when did the Hornets first? Because they were the Hornets, and then they.
Oh, okay. Here it is. There was an expansion draft in 1980 for Dallas, 1988 for Charlotte and Miami. The Charlotte Hornets that are now the Pelicans in Miami. An expansion draft in 1989 for the Timberwolves and the Magic. And an expansion draft in 95 for the Raptors and Grizzlies.
Okay.
And then an expansion draft in 2004 for New Charlotte, the Bobcats. So I was right. Like, it was 1988 and 1989 for 2-2. And then, yeah, Minnesota and Orlando were 89. Damn, I got that, like, pretty spot on, except instead of 1988, I said 1987.
Hey.
Wow.
You're a genius.
My obscure basketball history is coming in handy,
You can put
baby.
that on your job application.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's a very
Hell
on the
yeah.
spot question they ask you at those job interviews, man, and you'll be ready for it.
Can you name all the pre-1980 NBA expansions
Post
and what
1980
teams?
NBA expansions.
Yeah.
And
Can you name every post-1980 expansion and how many teams were in those drafts?
yeah, and what year each team got added into the league.
Yes.
That's common on the spot critical thinking. So good job.
It is. Yeah.
All right. Next up, JJ Reddick. There's not much to talk about this, but I kind of wanted to. JJ Reddick called out the New Orleans front office and said that there was like no trust or like anything with that front office, and they were all essentially liars.
Shocker. I said this to you before. Shocker. The Pelicans are a poorly run organization.
Yeah, but
The only thing that surprises me about this is that JJ Reddick said something because he seems like the kind of dude that's not. I obviously didn't watch him at Duke, but like as an NBA player, he is not the kind of guy that's like rustling feathers and calling out organizations. You know?
well,
what
yeah,
I mean,
he played for the Magic, so
yeah, he played for the Magic for like a decade. Not really, but like 7 years.
So,
what do you think of this?
well, it was very surprising. He said it on his podcast, I think. So it's like also not a place where
Yeah.
he typically throws shade at people, right? Like if anything, he would say it like the day after he got traded at media day or something.
Yeah, he would say something vague in his intro interview, and then nothing
Yeah,
else
right.
about it.
But he
Never expand
he
on it.
seemed to have maybe it's because he's at like towards the end of his career, and he's like, yeah, I can say whatever, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, he knows that he's gonna be like. First of all, he knows that the Pelicans aren't gonna re-sign him because they just traded him, so he's not like he's burning a bridge that was already on fire.
There was already
on it.
gasoline on it, and he just threw the match.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that this is going to make any contender that needs a shooter want him less.
If anything, I feel
it's JJ Reddick.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Teams know exactly what they're getting.
if anything, the fact that this is the first, well, maybe not the first time, but the first time I've ever heard him like publicly like diss a front office, I think it's more of a sign about the New Orleans front office than JJ Reddick.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of when I watched that Jimmy Butler interview finally, and he kind of was like, not like egging on Jimmy, but like kind of like he was like, so what do you think about the Sixers? And like he kind of knew that there were problems with the Sixers, but he wanted Jimmy to say it. Yeah, exactly. But like this is not the first time he's like either directly or indirectly called out a franchise, but it is the first time he's done it like this.
Yeah, right.
It's the first time he's been like, yeah, this was fucking bad. Because wasn't he also saying that when he was asked about them potentially trading him, they were like, yeah, we'll trade you to the Northeast so you can be closer to your family, and that's it. If we trade you, it'll be to a Northeast team, like Boston or Philadelphia or something.
I don't remember that, but I don't remember many trade rumors about JJ Reddick. I just kind of happened. Like I figured he might get traded because the Pelicans sucked, but like I didn't.
The only Pelicans player I saw rumors for was like Lonzo and like a little bit of Steven Adams, but mostly Lonzo.
Right, yeah.
Really, the Steven Adams ones were us. We were perpetuating.
Yeah, we were trying to get that Steven Adams Lonzo Ball trade going to Boston.
Yeah. Exactly.
Celtics, if things don't work out with Danny Ainge, you're not happy with your results, hit us up. We know exactly what needs to be done. So yeah, just hit our line.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it's just kind of interesting to see something like that happen so publicly.
Yeah, it's always interesting when stuff like that comes out. Like, even though I thought it was douchey, like when Paul George did that interview a couple years ago about like Larry Bird, and like it is kind of it's always interesting to see when that stuff happens and to see like the players confirm or deny what you assume. Because like, with the amount of minutes JJ Reddick was getting, and like it seemed like he was kind of distant this year. It was like, you could tell something was kind of wrong, but you couldn't really put your finger on it, and then it was like, oh, well, that's what's wrong.
There you go. Next up, we got some big news here. Speaking of, I guess, since we're already on the topic of the Pelicans, Isaiah Thomas, short king.
Hell yeah, baby.
King in the fourth quarter, as some call him, has signed a 10-day contract with the Pelicans. And I hope he balls the fuck out. That would be awesome.
He's got literally nothing to lose. I mean,
the Pelicans suck. He's got pretty much no expectations, and everyone wants him to succeed.
Yeah. It's in their guard depth is like kind of not great.
Really?
I mean,
I feel like it's kind of deep actually.
It's like Lonzo and Eric Bledsoe, and then like, does Alexander Walker play more shooting guard or small forward? I honestly don't know.
I don't know
what he's considered.
I can look that up real quick.
And then there's like Kira Lewis Jr. who plays a little bit, and then I think Isaiah Thomas would be like the fourth guard in that rotation.
Yeah, but
maybe I know, but I think there's somebody I'm forgetting. There has to be somebody I'm forgetting.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna look up their stuff real quick. Their positions. That's the
Hi,
word.
Charlie. How's it going, buddy?
All right. So Eric Bledsoe, Josh Hart plays the small forward, so I guess he doesn't count. Nickeil Alexander-Walker plays the 2. Lonzo plays the 1. Kira Lewis plays the 1. And then their only other guard is Sindarius Thornwell.
Okay, so he probably takes a little bit of minutes from Kira Lewis Jr., maybe a little bit of minutes from Eric Bledsoe, and is probably like the fifth guard in that rotation.
They need to give
the
Kira
guard.
Lewis more minutes because Eric Bledsoe's been bad.
They
and
do.
Kira Lewis
I was
is
hoping
good.
that they were gonna trade Lonzo. Because
They
like
need to trade
they
Eric
gotta
Bledsoe,
get
bro.
Kira
He's
Lewis
been
Jr.
bad.
some music or some minutes. Yeah, it's Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, but he was like solid on the Bucks. He's just been bad.
Yeah, he's solid as the fourth option.
That's fair. Okay.
When
Well, he's kind of the fourth option
he's like the
here. He
second
just
or
got
third
worse
guy.
First 3 options.
Yeah. Hi, buddy.
But anyway, hopefully Isaiah Thomas can ball out. Obviously, he's not going to be an MVP, but if he can be like a solid bench player, I think everyone will be happy because he deserves it.
Yeah. I hope he keeps getting contracts.
Mm-hmm. I just hope they sign him for the rest of the season, even if he doesn't play much, just so he can be like, maybe he does get a few minutes here and there. He can be part of the team. Just want to see him play.
Agreed.
Next up, this one's a kind of small one, but Portland signs Rondae Hollis Jefferson, who...
That's a good signing, I think, for their depth.
Did he play last season? I can't remember.
Not much. I mean, he was in, Minnesota for like a couple years, it felt like. He was okay.
I'm going to look up.
Good,
Yeah, so last season he was in Toronto. He played 60 games. So yeah, he did play a decent amount. But he's always been like an okay, like you can give him like 20 minutes and he'll do solid, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a fine signing for them. They're looking to make a playoff run. They're 6th in the West right now, I want to say. Yeah, they're making signings for the playoffs, and I like this move. Especially because they lost Rodney Hood, so they kind of need another wing-type player.
Yeah, right. Which I feel like that was kind of like an underrated part of that Norman Powell trade, because obviously Norman Powell's very good and probably better than Gary Trent Jr. as of right now, but Rodney Hood's been pretty valuable for them, so I feel like that was an underrated loss.
It takes that depth away.
Which is important for the playoffs, because Dame can only do so much.
Yes.
Next up, Jeff Teague to the Bucks. This is another buyout.
That's another just guard depth move because they had to give up DJ Augustine and the PJ Tucker trade.
I think they're hoping they...
So he'll probably...
What?
No, I was just saying they're probably hoping he can take some minutes from Augustine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think they're hoping he can fill that George Hill role for them when he was on that team, because George Hill was pretty good for them.
Yeah.
Next up, Moses Brown signs a multi-year contract. He had like that one game with the Thunder where he had like, what was it, 20 and 20 or something like that? He absolutely popped off. He's the guy from that video where he's in the UCLA jersey and his teammate comes up and like lifts his chin up.
I actually didn't know that was him, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw that video posted when he got extended, that was so cool.
One of the most viral videos out there. It still gets posted by Bleacher Report every few months.
It's always like a March Madness staple, like when a team gets upset or something, and that UCLA video gets posted.
Imagine that's like imagine if he didn't get that contract and like that's all he's known for is that video.
Oh, that would suck.
But he got a contract and he's on the Thunder, so he'll probably get minutes. So good for him.
Yeah, what are the details of it? Is it like a minimum, or
I would assume so.
Like what's
the deal with the league alerts just
because he was a G League guy, wasn't he on a 2-way deal?
Yeah,
or something?
right. Well, like what I'm saying is, the league alerts just posted that he signed a multi-year contract. So I don't know like exactly what the details of. I'm assuming it's just a minimum though, because like he had that one game, but other than that, I don't think he's played at all. So, can you sign? Can you sign multi-year 2-way contracts? Is that a thing?
I want to say it is, but I'm not sure.
Here, I'm just gonna.
I know that this one is not a 2-way contract. It's like
all right. I pulled it up. So this season he's making $495K. The next year he's making 1.7 mil. Then the season after he's making 1.85 mil, and then he has a team option for $2 million the year after. So solid, very solid.
Yeah.
Good for him. And again, he's on the Thunder, and Al Horford is no longer playing. They shut him down for the rest of the season, so he'll get some minutes. Being that he's like it's him, Mike Muscala, and Tony Bradley fighting for those center minutes. So I'm sure he'll get some PT.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, Dennis Schroeder turned down a 4-year, $84 million contract from the Lakers. But I don't think there's been any news about like whether he wants more money and he'll re-sign or whether he wants to go into free agency. But
I feel like this tells me that his agent knows something that the general public doesn't, because Dennis Schroeder is worth $20 million a year probably is the top of what he's worth, I'd say.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he could get he could definitely get a 4-year $100 million, I think.
You think so? Maybe.
He's pretty damn good, dude.
He is, but he's like a sixth man. Like, he's best when he's like coming off the bench.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, I guess he is starting some on the Lakers this year, but like, I don't know. His best year was like, I thought he had a better year last year than he's been having this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, okay, maybe it's not like every team would give him be jumping to give him a 4-year $100, but I'm sure like there are some teams out there, like if the agent knows the market well, I'm sure he knows that there's like a few teams that would give him a 4-year $100. And also, I think it's another thing of like, he's got his ring now, so maybe he just wants to like get as much money as he can.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Obviously,
That's
maybe he just wants a little more from the Lakers or something. But obviously the way it looks when you turn down a 4-year 84, I want to leave.
Yeah. And you're Dennis Schroeder, who's like, probably not going to get a lot more than $84 million. Like, that is not a disrespectful offer to Dennis Schroeder.
It's maybe like a few $1 million under what he wants, but it's definitely like around his market value.
It's close. Yeah.
So yeah, that's just interesting. I'm trying to think of like, obviously in free agency, a bunch of players are going to move around, but like, what team would be willing to pay a lot of money to have him? Because he's good, but unless you're like, he's the type of guy that like, if you're like on the verge of winning a championship, you give him that money. But most teams that are on the verge of winning a championship aren't going to offer him much more than $484. Right? Like.
Yeah, well, they can't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the Clippers can't, the Nuggets can't, the Nets can't.
Yeah, they're like over the cap or like very close and have all their centerpieces locked down. Like Yeah, you mentioned the Nuggets. The Clippers have got to focus on recruiting Kawhi to come back.
Right, yeah. If they don't...
Oh, you know what?
What?
They don't exactly fall into that contender range, but I think the Mavericks would give them that money. Because you remember they cleared a bunch of cap for Giannis, and like I could see if they struck out with like a couple free agents. I actually think that that's a dark horse team for Kawhi to go to. I would not be shocked if he goes to Dallas.
I think I want the Mavericks to trade Kristaps and then make some big splashes in free agency because I like Luka and I want him to win.
I do too.
But the thing,
Well, Kristaps is like the only big contract they have, isn't
Yeah, but they're gonna have to give Luka a max, right? A super max, probably. I think he'll be eligible.
Oh, definitely. My point is, I think they've got a max slot because of they cleared because they were one of the contenders for Giannis, and they haven't added anybody because they have that second max slot because Luka's young.
I don't know though if you're the Mavericks, do you throw a lot of money at Dennis Schroeder? Like,
well, I don't know if it's a good idea, but it seems like something they would do.
That's
like,
fair. Yeah.
Because they have struck out in free agency before, and then gone on to sign like overpay some people.
Yeah.
So I would not be shocked if they did that.
That's definitely.
I think they need to. I mean, I think if they recruited Kawhi, they would be the best team in the West, honestly. And it also wouldn't be super OP, like especially if they traded Porzingis, like Luka and Kawhi.
Well, even if they had Porzingis, I mean, considering the amount of games Kawhi would rest and the amount of games Porzingis would be hurt, they'd be a super team for about 15 games.
Yeah, that's true. It would still be basically the same.
Yeah, they'd be a super team for 15 games.
All three of them are never playing at the same time.
So, but no, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Kawhi would go to Dallas though. Right? Like,
I think he would consider. Well, first of all, I don't think he's going to go back to the Clippers. I think there's a good chance he signs with the Lakers, actually, because I think that everybody's going to see, which would suck, but I think everybody's going to be like, the only way we can compete is if we have two just ridiculously overpowered teams, like one in the East and one in the West, which sucks. But like, I mean, the Nets did it, so I could see the Lakers maybe doing it.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. That's tricky. Because, like, Kawhi's one of those guys where, like, you're right, I don't see him staying in with the Clippers long-term, especially if they don't win the championship this year, which they won't. But at the same thing, I don't know where else he would go.
Miami?
They don't have money, though, because they're going to pay Vic, right? And they got Jimmy Butler making, like, $35 million. Bam's max extensions coming in. They might pay Vic,
but they've got a max slot because they were going to go after. Okay, so let's think about the teams that were going to pursue Giannis, because I would assume that those are now the teams that are going to pursue Kawhi.
Well, the thing that with the Heat, if they pursued Giannis, the only reason they could do that is because they have Bam's bird rights. They could go over the cap to bring him back. But now Bam's already signed his extension, so I don't think they have the money anymore.
That's true.
I don't know. That stuff's all very confusing.
Okay, so there's the Raptors. There's the Mavericks.
What if Kawhi just went back to the Raptors?
Dude, I would love that so much. If he went back to the Raptors, like, he just ran back with Kyle Lowry and Pascal and Nick Nurse
Kawhi?
and was like, hey, sorry guys, I made the wrong choice.
Kawhi, I know you're watching this because we're the biggest podcast in the world right now. I know you're watching.
Yes.
Come to the Pacers. What's the worst that happens? You know? Come to the Pacers.
Can't be worse than what happens with the Clippers. There will be no expectations if you go to the Pacers.
And, you know, you'll have fans that will appreciate you as long as you don't, like...
There are still people on Pacers Twitter that are like, can you imagine if we got Paul George and Kawhi at the same time?
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, did you see what happened when the Clippers got Paul George and Kawhi at the same time? It wasn't that great.
Yeah. But, like... You know, that aside, the Pacers are a very cool team to be a part of. It's what all the hip kids are watching nowadays.
We know you don't like the media, and the Indianapolis media is definitely not as intimidating as
no
Los
one
Angeles
cares about
media.
Indiana, so that's good.
Yeah. Nobody. I think LeBron and Steph Curry could team up on the Pacers, and nobody would give a shit about it. That's an exaggeration, but it would be like, it would get about probably like half as much attention as them teaming up on the Lakers or the Warriors.
And also, I know there's that like the stuff about like how when he was like signed his first contract with the Spurs or whatever, he was still driving like a really old Chevy Tahoe. You can drive a Tahoe in Indiana, and no matter who you are, it's normal. So you could get a brand new Tahoe and just fit in. You know? Think about it, Kawhi. There's a lot of potential here. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all about that. And then you said last week we didn't talk about Aldridge or Drummond, right?
Yeah, well, because Drummond happened Sunday, and then Aldridge happened like 3 hours after we stopped recording, I want to say.
Okay. So yeah, Drummond signed with the Lakers, Aldridge signed with the Spurs. Or not the Spurs, the Nets.
Basically the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs colors.
Yeah, I mean similar colors. It was a lot less gray, a lot more black, but similar thing going on there. But anyway, yeah. So Aldridge signed with the Nets, which was pretty huge. And then, you know what's kind of annoying though? Like, I get it that Griffin and Aldridge are like good, but there was like Bleacher Report posted LaMarcus Aldridge making a wide open pass to like Joe Harris for a 3, and then Blake Griffin hit like a corner 3 or something. And everyone in the comments was like, "Wow, so they were just faking being washed, huh?" And I was like, "Come on, like."
I think Blake Griffin was.
Maybe, but
I think Blake Griffin was absolutely playing bad. At least playing up being bad on purpose to get out of Detroit. Because, like, did you see some of the shit he was doing?
No, I haven't
like,
watched
he's already
any
had a
games
couple,
this past
like,
week.
He's already had some, like, good... Like, I think he had a game where he had, like, 15 and 10 a couple times. Like, he's already got chemistry with Harden. He's throwing down dunks. He's playing good defense. Like, he is definitely at least feeling rejuvenated on the Nets.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, Detroit sucks. It's fucking Detroit.
That's fair. Again, I haven't been able to watch many games this past week or two, so I've just seen the Bleacher Report clips, and it seems like maybe it's because they're posting stupid clips, but it all seems way blown out. Like, because like I said, they'll post like
Aldridge. I get where you're.
They'll post
because he posted like he hit like a turnaround jump shot, and I saw like 5 different media outlets post it. I was like, okay.
And like with Blake Griffin,
they were like Kyrie's reaction to Aldridge hitting his first shot as a net. And it was like Kyrie like smiling and clapping on the bench
as a teammate
Aldridge
does.
hits a turnaround jumper. Yeah, I was like, okay, guys, let's fucking tone it down
like,
here.
Bleacher Report posted like Blake Griffin's first dunk for the Nets, and then after that, it's just been him hitting like open layups or corner 3s, and then everyone's like, "Wow, Blake Griffin faked it the whole time." And I'm like, maybe the game says otherwise, but these Instagram clips are not proving anything.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't been able to watch many games.
He still had some moments of athleticism this year.
That's good. But yeah, and then Drummond to the Lakers. I think he played his first game and then hurt his toe. Or like his toenail or something. So he left that first game early. But it's another thing too where it's like Drummond's not amazing. So people need to relax on that. Like he's not.
How much help does LaFraud need?
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's two sides of the coin. There's LaMarcus Aldridge going to Brooklyn, and it's, wow, all this to beat a 36-year-old. And then there's the Lakers signing a mediocre center, and it's, wow, LaFraud needs a super team to win again, huh? And it's like, people need to relax. If these players were so good...
I invited LaFraud to my wedding, and he stole all my rings!
If these players were still good, they wouldn't be on the buyout market. Like, but no, that's just overreactions, honestly.
Yeah, it's like, it was the thing. It was like if Andre Drummond goes to the Nets, it's gonna be like Patrick Ewing going to team up with Michael Jordan and playing against LeBron, and if he goes to the Lakers, he's gonna be the fall guy. Like. That's exactly what he is. He's going to be the fall guy if the Lakers lose in the playoffs this year, which, like, they probably will because they're going to be playing the best team ever assembled. So,
wait, they're playing the Warriors with Kevin Durant? That's crazy.
Do you seriously still think that the Warriors... are you gonna die on this hill, dude? This Nets team is better than any of those Warriors teams.
I mean, I don't know.
Don't die on this hill.
Okay. I won't. Again, I haven't been able to watch them play much, so... And they still don't have Kevin Durant, so they haven't wowed me yet. You know? I gotta wait for them all to play together, and then I can be like, yeah, okay, this team's better. But until that happens, I can't say it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And then...
All right. You want to talk about Evan Fournier putting up a triple single with no points?
Oh, yeah. He's been
rebounds,
terrible.
Steals, and blocks.
He's been...
Yeah.
You know, maybe... And here's the thing, Boston. Maybe get someone other than a scoring wing to help your team.
Yeah.
And you might have more success. I mean, I remember I thought it was pretty funny when we were doing like the mock draft and you guys were saying like, who are the Celtics going to take? And you were saying like, I forget who you were saying. And then I had to chime in and be like, hold on a minute. Is there a scoring wing on the board? Because that's who they're going to draft. They have, I mean, that's what they did last season with that one guy that shot like 50% from three or whatever. And I don't think he's touched the floor yet. So, you know, it just seems very like, that I get it. You gave 2 second-round picks for Fournier, and that's a good deal. But if you gave up 2 second-round picks and 2 first-round picks, you probably could have gotten Vooch. So, and he would have been a lot more helpful to your team than, I don't know. Yeah, Evan Fournier has not been great. Okay.
All right, we had some mic issues, and we got them figured out, so that's good.
But as we were saying, Evan Fournier has been bad, and I guess I guess you didn't really say much for the last 40 seconds that it was cut out. But yeah, if you had anything to add,
no, that's it. I mean, he's had like he had a horrible game, a bad game, and then like one good game. So he's improving.
That's true. But yeah, so that's that. The Celtics are they in the playoffs right now? They're the 8th seed, right?
They are the 8th seed, yeah. They're 2 games ahead of the Pacers.
So they're bad right now.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I don't particularly care for the Celtics, so I would not.
I don't either. I'm fine if they suck, but it is... I mean, I feel bad for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and, like, almost nobody else.
That's, yeah. Maybe a little bit of Kemba because he's a nice guy, but...
Yeah, Kemba too.
And then...
Honestly, as a team, I'm fine with them, but, like, I mean, I can't feel bad for Boston as a whole.
Right. Yeah, you can cry on your 17 rings.
Yeah.
And then I think the last thing I had was Mitchell Robinson fracturing his foot. And I think he's probably...
it was like his first game back, too, because he broke his hand, and then his like first game he fractured his foot. Yeah, that just sucks.
Because I think we all like Mitchell Robinson, right? Everyone in our group, for the most part.
Yeah.
And wasn't there a thing like the Knicks might not bring him back next season?
Yeah, they might let him walk, which, like, I mean... We don't get to say it very often anymore, but like that's a Knicks move.
We got to take the chance whenever we can get it to say that
young
stuff.
Center walk. Yeah, but they're not giving us many opportunities. It's rare.
But we got one. We got to capitalize. That is a Knicks move. To let your promising young.
Yeah, that is an absolute Knicks move. Yeah, I think because what is this? His 3rd year, I want to say, because I think his rookie year was the year that they were tanking for Zion.
3rd, or I mean. I'm not sure. Was he where was he picked?
He was like 36th overall, I think. Okay. So like beginning of the 2nd round.
So then yes, it's his 3rd year. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a restricted free agent this year, correct? I want to say. Because I think that's what the late 2nd round or the early 2nd round contracts are.
I didn't know if 2nd round picks had those rights.
I genuinely don't know. Let me just Google it.
But yeah, last season he was like one of the most efficient players of all time, and he's still a very good defender. But this season he got hurt a little bit. Yeah, he's great. And then they're like, "No, we don't want you."
like I guess okay, so it's a 3-year, $4 million contract. Or 4.7. Let me get the full details. He is an unrestricted free agent after next year. He is a restricted free agent this summer. I think it's a team option. So
What, their only other center is Nerlens Noel. Like,
literally, the Knicks would have to opt into a base salary of $1.8 million. Why would you not do that? He made 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, and he would be making 1.8 next year. It's like $140,000 salary increase from what he's making now. Why would you not do that? He's literally going to be 23. If he gets hurt again and you still have those injury concerns, then okay, I understand, and let him walk, I guess, but like, don't let him walk in free agency now.
yeah, it just doesn't seem smart. Like, again, they don't have any other centers. They're having their best season in how long right now?
8 years, 9 years.
Right. And it's not like
2013, I think, was the last year they were worth a shit at all.
And no offense to Obi Toppin, but he hasn't exactly been showing signs that he can.
Well, he hasn't gotten any playing time, and he's not a center either.
I'm assuming they probably try to run him as like a small, like, and he's 6'8", 6'9", right?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. He's 6'9", but he's got more of a forwards game. Like, he's not all that great defensively, and his offensive game is more like cutting and driving, and he's got a nice jumper, so
like,
not really a center's game.
All this shows is that the Knicks are still the Knicks, even if they're having a good season, because they can still manage to fuck up something nice.
Like, I don't understand. I get it that you've been good and he hasn't played much, but
you're only going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. With him, you're only going to get better. So it's not like giving Mitchell Robinson less than $2 million is going to hamper your chances of re-signing Julius Randle.
He's not taking 10, 15 shots away from your best players either.
Yeah.
He's just there to play defense and be efficient with the shots he takes.
Yeah.
Honestly, your biggest concern should be how you wasted so many draft picks on guys like Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina, not your one good draft pick in how long.
Yeah. The fact that you hit on a second rounder, like, it's rare to get a starting caliber second rounder, but the fact that you hit like a home run, like, this is a guy who could be a defensive player of the year candidate if he develops properly. And the fact that you're going to let him walk because he's been hurt a couple times is ridiculous.
You got a pretty young, like, Julius Randle's not old. Like, he's what, 23, 24 right now? Something like that?
Julius Randle's 26.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he's pretty young compared to like what his like, he's been in the NBA for 6 years now.
You got RJ, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Rock. Like, why would you want to get rid of why?
One of those guys. Right. Like, when you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You can re-sign Julius Randle on, like, you know, I would assume it's going to have to be a max deal, and I would give it to him if I'm the Knicks.
It's not like Mitchell Robinson's going to ask for 5 years, $150 million or something.
No
Just
way.
pay the man.
Yeah, you're not going to have to. He's not going to be a supermax guy.
Just give him like a.
Literally, just give him $1.8 million next year. Like, the thing is, they might not pick up his team option, which is $1.8 million. It's nothing.
Yeah, like, I don't.
For an NBA team, like, for the most valuable sports franchise in the United States, it's nothing.
I don't understand it.
I don't know.
Oh, well, the Knicks. This is why the Knicks can't have anything nice.
Yeah, because they just fuck it up.
And
I guess it's not a definitive thing they're going to do it, but, like, it seems kind of likely that they're going to let him walk. Like,
the fact that they're even considering that is shameful. Mitchell, come to the Pacers.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. We have Miles Turner. But go to a team where you'll be valued, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything else to add, just in general?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. Then remember to like and subscribe. Check the description for all of our socials and the article, and, you know, check out the channel, whatever, all that stuff. Comment below anything that you agree or disagree with. And also, if, like, we got anything wrong, because like, some of these things I'm not 100% sure about, obviously, like the Mitchell Robinson not being brought back thing. But comment all your opinions and stuff, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Yep. Bye.